launched a couple of years ago until COVID hit, which sort of slowed us down a little bit. We launched a community blockchain project for the aviation industry. The idea is the aviation industry had started going towards a digital transformation. The reason being is all of the systems that are used in the aviation industry today were designed well over 10 or 20 years ago. In fact, the ticketing system that booked 80% of your tickets were invented 50 years ago. All they've changed is the front end to be a bit pretty. The reality is airlines pay $10, scheduled airlines, not Ryanair or Wizz or anyone like that, scheduled airlines pay $10 to use systems like Sabre to manage a ticket, whereas in a low-cost carrier, they'd use web technologies to take a booking on their website. You know, it costs them cents to do. So the problem is that the aviation industry, there's a lot of money that goes through it, but the airlines are the ones who don't have any of it. So the average profit margin of an airline is 3%. And when you consider that some of you flew here on aircraft which cost $100 million and more, and from your ticket, that airline made less than $6 profit. So in actual fact, when you got here, the taxi company that paid 25,000 euros for a car made more profit of your journey than the airline did by spending 100 million on a plane. Something is wrong with the system. So the way the industry has started moving is they said, right, we do need to do digital transformation. The problem is COVID hit. We were already sort of starting there. Then when COVID hit, it woke them up to it. They're like, you know what? Yes, this needs to speed up. Now, instead of our idea is, instead of everybody building these applications, and you know, there's 20 different versions of the same application out there in the world, what we're doing them is bringing them together as a community so that, and we bring them in groups of 3. We design the applications, they put in their input, we get the developers, they build them, and it's kind of like a lily pond. And what happens is with the smart contracts is they then rent them, they rent the functionality to each other on a pay-per-use basis. So instead of putting huge amounts of money out to try and fix their problems, they don't need to do any of that. They need to put their resources in, say these are the problems we have, and we'll fix them for them. Oh, we managed? Okay. So the concept of this is called the Aeroblock. We've already had some great, super. We've already had some great input. Okay, cool. Let's go. Will the screen turn off or it stays on? Okay. So one of the first ones that we did, I mean, there's 160 applications that scheduled airlines use. Most of them are, well, a lot of them are repetition and a waste of time because all they do is create problems with each other. We know those 160 can come down to somewhere between 80 and 90. And the idea is that we will get the community to build them together. What happens there is basically their efforts that they put into developing these systems don't just happen for themselves. They also get a return on investment from the time and effort that they're putting into it. One of the first ones that the first 2 that we're doing are revenue accounting, which is basically airlines knowing where their money, how many tickets have been sold by them, how many tickets have been sold by their partner airlines, where their bookings are, etc., which is a big problem. And one of the other big problems in the industry is managing their charges. They're called direct operating costs. So when they fly from one place to another, how they manage those bills, etc. And the reason being is it doesn't work like other businesses. There's no purchase order because they don't know how many passengers they're going to have on board. They don't know how long they're going to be in the air over Austria, and they pay per minute. They don't know what the fuel burn is going to be until they get there, depending on how much wind there is. They don't know if all the passengers who are booked are going to turn up, if some extra turn up, if some don't, etc. They don't know exactly how long they're going to be on the ground. They might have a delay. They might have a return to ramp. So this is my forte. This is where I come in. And what we've done, I am. That's working. Okay. So we launched it at another conference at the IBC 2019, and we were the only project there that didn't have a cryptocurrency. We were just using blockchain technology to basically make an industry more efficient. That's why they gave us this award. I'm the good-looking guy on the left there. That's Brendan on the right. Yeah, it's not working. Wait. It's okay. One finger outside. So, I've just explained this. Oh, fuck's sake. You do it for me. Can you scroll for me? You scroll for me. Okay. So, come back out. This is just an example. Okay, scroll up, scroll up. Just an example of some of the charges that happens when a flight goes into an airport, right? If people think, oh, landing charges is, oh, I have to pay to put my aircraft on the ground and then bring it back off, it's very, very different from that. You have to pay passenger taxes, you have to collect passenger taxes for the government, you have to pay a different charge for an aircraft. Some aircraft have a specific charge, like an Airbus A320 will have a fixed charge, £510 to land in London Heathrow. Some other contracts may be, instead of it's for a specific aircraft type, it might be the first 25 tons of the maximum takeoff weight of the aircraft is charged at £5.23. The next 25 tons of the MTOW are charged at £4.85. The next 25 tons and further are charged at £3.50, for example. Now, when you have an airport that has 200 takeoffs and landings every day, some of them have even more, and then you have all of these charges associated with one, and then you have airlines and airports who do not trust each other to give the right data, because it's impossible to do it. So what they do is you have teams on both sides creating bills and teams on both sides checking them to make sure that they're correct. Blockchain technology will get rid of all of that. Ah, good. There's some more. Now we can go up. So this is our solution. If you go, keep going, keep going. There you go. Our solution is going to be that this one is going to happen on the Eternity blockchain. While we are blockchain agnostic in general as a community project, this is an app that's going to be built on Eternity. You'll be happy to know, Yanni. What happens is we have all of the data, the master data that go in there, and the contract rates from each airport. This is all published publicly, right? You have the flight operations data that pops in. We already have discussing partnerships with both Flight Radar 24 and FlightAware, who can give us all of the flight data. I'll show you some samples. And what happens is when they come in, it will generate the charges, it will lock charges into a blockchain, and then we can actually even create the invoices for them to have their PDFs and stuff like that going out there, an XML version for them to pump into their ERPs for accounting purposes and reporting, etc. What this will do is it will automate the billing process, it will eradicate overbilling and disputes, and it's actually extendable to all suppliers. It's not just about the airport. Inside the airport, the airline will then use other services like a private company for cleaning the aircraft. They will also rent space in a lounge for premium passengers, for business and first class. And the billing can automate the entire process. Okay, if we can go up a bit. There you go. That's all of the services, the main categories of the services. And then within each one of them, you have anywhere between 5 and 500 different versions of that charge that will be managed. Okay, our system is going to be broken down into 5 different separate occurrences. One is the master reference data, one is the ops data, one are the digitally signed contract rates, one is the charge calculation engine, and then you have the invoice generation and the data reporting, etc. Because they even need it sometimes, for IATA and people like that. Master reference data would look something like this. These are just some mood boards. You'd have the aircraft tail, etc. Basically, this system will know it's not about this airline flying this aircraft type into that airport. It's about this airline flying that exact plane into that airport. It was on the ground this exact amount of times. These are the exact charges it had, and this is exactly what that bill should be. And it's all taken care of. You go a bit? Flight ops data, this is the sort of data that comes in, what time the plane will have taken off and landed, the estimated time of departure, the actual time of departure, what its reporting route is, how many passengers were on board, adults, infants, children, premium passengers, even staff travel who don't pay. Now, some of the contracts, this is like how I mentioned, using expressions. So rather than a fixed fee, the system will be able to use expressions to settle. Also, currencies are a huge thing in the industry. But this is the main one. The charge engine will actually be able to use expressions, which means there is no charge that cannot be calculated using this system. Right? I've done this for 20 odd years. Till now, the Lufthansa Group, Etihad Airways Group, Cyprus Air when they were around, S7 Airlines in Russia, they've all used it very successfully. So the reality is we've actually built an MVP to show that it does work. If you can scroll up. These are screenshots of the actual MVP that we've already built on the Eternity blockchain. This is actually live. We're playing around with it at the moment. This is how you'd put in, where you'd put in the actual airports themselves. If you could scroll up a bit. Then the airlines management page as well. You put all of the airlines in as well, and then within each one, what their code is, you can edit, and you can say what their fleet is, etc., etc. And you just build the system as it goes, and then it's just a case of maintaining it. Up we go. There you go. These are the expressions that would lock this in. So the idea is that it would be calculated outside, and then the transaction would be recorded on the blockchain, so that it can be reconciled, it can be billed for, etc. And the charges are generated on every single flight. So that's every single service on every single flight that that airline flies into, every single airport. Okay, I tried to be as quick as possible, minus the tech stuff. The good news that we have right now is we're currently negotiating. We've had interest from a very, very interesting source. We've got Dubai Airport and Emirates Airline who want to run a pilot with this, with us. So basically that is we're going to build it from MVP into proof of concept now, and they're going to use it as an airline and a hub airport. Since then, we're also now in discussions with London Heathrow for the British Airways Group and also Calgary. Calgary, we're not that sure about because, unfortunately, the time zone doesn't really work for 3, so we possibly might change that to a service provider like Menzies, who we're also in discussions with. We're also in discussions with the Saudi Arabian Transport Service, who manage 28 airports. There's lots of people already interested in it. So finally, after 2 years of COVID, of doing nothing in aviation, and we all had a very long holiday, very stressful one, things are moving, and this is going to be one of the big ones on Eternity, we hope. And let's see where it goes.